Hey everybody, welcome to another episode 3. I'm Yemi Justin, aka Yemi Griot.
And I'm Justin Ladson.
And welcome to Opportunities Connected. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us again. We're at it and can't wait to share more with you all, connect with you all. Justin, how you doing, man? It's so good to see you again.
Yes, another beautiful day. So we can only have a great day from there, you know?
That's it. You got to start from somewhere and it's only up from there. Now, following up on our last conversation about looking at ways we can, kind of monitor what's around us, there was a subject that we wanted to bring up in this episode that touches dear to our heart. Justin, I'll let you introduce the subject.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys ever heard of this topic, but we call it our top 5. A lot of people hear our top 5 and they think like favorite sports teams or like favorite players, the top 5 players of all time. But nobody ever takes into consideration the people we surround ourselves by. So my question to you is, who is your top 5? When you walk into a room, are you the smartest person in the room? Or are you in a room that makes you feel a little outside of your comfort zone? So that's what we're going to dive into today, talking about your top 5.
That's right. And I love how you put that. It's like, you don't have to look at it in terms of being like, well, am I smarter than the next person? But if you're the smartest person in the room, maybe you've outgrown that opportunity. Maybe you've outgrown that room and it's time to start looking for places where you can grow more. So So let's dig into why we're thinking about the top 5. Like, who are you surrounding yourself with and why that matters? And now, again, touching on what we were touching on last week, we're not talking about, hey, I'm not going to be your friend anymore, anything like that. That's not the level we're coming at. We're talking more on the level of looking at who in your life is helping to support your growth, and are you also supporting the growth of those in your life? Looking at how you and the folks you're connected with are empowering each other to grow even more. And so those are the things that matter when you're looking at your inner circle or the people you have around you.
100%. And it's like, if you want to be a doctor, but you're in a room filled with people doing the opposite, that's not going to help you get to that level you need to be. Right. Mentally, like study-wise, if everybody's going out to parties, but yet you have exams coming up, right? Maybe your top 5 is the wrong crew,
right?
And you hit the nail on its head. You don't have to get rid of friends, but who are you surrounding yourself by that's going to take you to that next level? And I consider you as one of my top 5. Like every time we're together, like we just bounce ideas off each other.
And I'm honored to be that. And that's how I feel like I want to feel and help others feel when I'm around them, is that every time I'm around you, I see this great opportunity to grow and to share more with each other. And whenever I'm around you also, it's not like me thinking, oh, I'm smarter or I can share some wisdom. Our sharing together helps us to empower each other to build and to grow even more. And so you bring so much to the table. I try to mirror that and also be like and bringing stuff to the table. And that's kind of what I like to look for in those who I consider to be friends. Now, sometimes people can, not have the same idea of what I'm saying. And I'm trying to say this so you're not confused. I'm not talking about people you've fallen out of touch with. I'm not talking about people that you'd like to have more in your life, so on and so forth. There are those people you want to hop back into their lives and build that relationship with, and that opportunity can happen. But a part of making that opportunity happen is also helping yourself to grow. How do I improve my relationship with those people? And also realizing, are the people around me helping me to improve myself or taking away from my personal growth? And
100%. Let me
yeah,
tell you a story, right?
yeah,
At the beginning of my business, like, of course, every business when you start is not just straight uphill with sales, things are going great. So I was sitting in my car one day, just stressing over, I'm doing so much work and I'm paying a lot in taxes, but when I look at my bank account, there's nothing there. So it's like, where did the money go? So that's when I made the decision to invest in a mentor. And let me tell you, when I went to my first live event, like seeing my mentor live,
right.
everybody was saying their numbers out loud.
Yeah,
And man, I just want to put my hoodie over my head. I felt like I was in the wrong room.
right.
I had a decision at that point. Am I not good enough to be in this room? Or can I outgrow everybody in this room?
That's
But
right.
the number one thing I want to express is how uncomfortable I was. I
Right.
was in a situation where people were doing 10x what I was doing at the time. So there's that awkward silence.
Yeah.
I don't deserve to be here. That is what I want to always surround myself by.
Right. Right. I remember, and I think I brought this up with you before. In 2015, I learned that I needed to have brain surgery. Now, of course, that's it has what an impact it would have on your life. Learning that you're going to have such a huge surgery on a very important part of your body. I mean, it touches on everything in terms of your physicality, what you're going to be able to do after, how you are impacted emotionally before. And so all of those things started to change the way I live. But with that said, after the surgery, and thank God it all worked out well, after the surgery, one of the things that my surgeon said to me is he said, the best thing you can do for your brain is to challenge it. Now, I know that it's our inclination to sit and be chill and just absorb all of this. And in some instances, that's true. That's what your body is telling you to do. But he was saying to me, and this wasn't a very common thing. This wasn't the cold. This wasn't me getting over, maybe a fever or the flu, or, some of us have been impacted by COVID. This was me post brain surgery and him telling me the best thing I can do for my brain is to challenge it, meaning go out, do something that you don't normally do. Force your brain to think. It was like him telling me, hey, your brain just went through this major surgery and now you got to exercise it. The best way for you to exercise your brain is to go and challenge it. And so I changed my entire career. I saw this opportunity to change my entire career. I had been working in music, TV production, and I worked mostly on the production. And in some cases, if you don't know that environment, it could be challenging to you, but I knew that environment really well. But I didn't know this new environment I was looking into. And so I applied for a position, took it, and it was like a whirlwind of challenges, but it was helpful. It helped me to grow as a person. Like you said, I felt uncomfortable in the room. I didn't feel like I deserved to be there. All the people around me, they knew everything that they were saying. I was just like, oh my God, this is way out of my league. But it put me into a position where I could succeed more. I could have better success in the goals that I was, setting for myself. And that's a part of it. It's like,
you touched on a very, very strong aspect, right?
yeah,
A lot of people feel like they've been in one career for so long that they can't change. They can't, it's time to do something new.
right.
So they will do the same career for many, many years, knowing that there's no growth, it's not challenging them. They feel stuck, but in their mind, that is the only way they can survive.
Right.
So, what are your thoughts? Do you mind expressing how you felt when you said, you know what? I'm going to jump overboard. Did you have your son at the time? Like,
yes.
What was your situation when you made that decision?
And you're right. I'm glad you brought that up. Each situation, of course, for each person is very different. But for me, what was very important to me, or like was high at the list at the time, is my son was a year old. And I remember thinking, I don't want to be in a position where my son is taking care of me later. I don't, whatever happens, 50 years from now, God willing, if I'm still rocking around and he's got to do what he's got to do to rock me around in the chair with my grandkids, fingers crossed. But I'm talking about immediately, the closer in. I knew that I didn't want to be in a position where I couldn't be able to spend time with my son. I knew that I wanted to be able to run with him, whether it's at the park or the backyard, or watch him beat me in any race. I knew that I wanted to be physical with him, to be able to enjoy times with him. And so what that meant is listening to the doctor who knew more than I did about the science of the brain, and that is to challenge my brain. I said, you know what? I got to do this, not just for myself, but because I want that opportunity to spend with my son as he's growing up, because you can't get that time back. So that was a lot of my motivation. I said, forget feeling uncomfortable. Let's just do it. Let's just go and do it. And so sometimes you have to look at, what are the things that drive you, that push you. And even using that reference or using those experiences as motivation for your friends.
Correct. And to tie that back to your top 5,
yeah.
if you surround yourself around the right crowd, then when you make that scary leap, they're supporting you. Not just supporting you, they are pushing you through that process. Hear the difference between the two things I said, right?
Yeah.
Your regular friends, your everyday people are going to say, hey, it's good. You'll be all right. You'll do okay. And when you lose touch, they may disappear. But the people you want in your top 5 are not only going to tell you it's okay, you'll do it. They're going to challenge you. Hey, why haven't you got that new job yet? Hey, have you called? Have you followed up? It may seem annoying, but those are the people you want to surround yourself by.
That's right. The folks that are keeping you accountable. And that's one of the things that I learned also is I've had instances in my past, I'm sure we all have, where we make mistakes. But I remember one time, and this was 1,000 years ago, my very early 20s, maybe late teens, when one of my friends came up to me and said, do you have anyone in your life who's accountable for you, that's being accountable for you? And I remember that moment as such a humbling moment, because it was like, I know that we were doing our thing, we're the boys, we're the crew, so on and so forth. But when he said that, he recognized that he could see better in me. He could see that I was better than the person I was being at that time. And hearing that from him made me value his friendship even more, because here's someone who's not going to let me fall by the wayside and just allow myself to kind of be, degrade my character, degrade the person I am. Because you start going down a certain path, even if it isn't the person you are at the time, it will be the person you become. And so what path do you want to be? What path do you want to head on? And so that's in that top 5, you got to look at the people and what path they're heading on. Are you in a place where you can tell them, hey, that's not the correct path, let's go this way? Hey, or even if it's not specifically your path, but you're saying, hey, I can see growth in you. This is the direction you should head in for your own health and safety. And so
keep going.
Well, you got it. And so hearing that from him and from others, because you pick that up, you recognize that that's a positive thing in a friend. And so you look to find that in other friends. As you hear that along the way, you learn what friends are there for you, who's in your corner, not as they're coming across with, you're not looking at someone who's coming across to be critical, but someone who has constructive criticism.
Constructive. Yes. And on top of having friends in your top 5, you at least want one person that's a coach or mentor. It's like kids, teenagers, we push them to do sports. Why? Because their coaches, their mentors are going to keep them organized. They're going to keep them doing the right things. Right. But as we get older, we tend to feel like, hey, I don't need a coach. Right. I'm a parent, or I'm doing my own thing. But then we tend to settle.
Yeah.
And again, we're thinking about our top 5. Yeah. Our top 5 don't let us settle.
No.
So who is that mentor in our life? Some that's huge is when adults do martial arts. They set a great example for their kids, because it's easy to tell your kids, hey, be organized, be disciplined, have respect. But then when you are the one putting on that uniform, you also get to show your kids you are showing that discipline, respect as well. You're leading by example. So that's my 2 cents on that. Somebody in your top 5 should be a mentor or coach, 100%.
That's right. And don't approach it in a way where it's resentful. If it, and why I say that is because, of course, we are, God willing, in some instances, we're mentors, whether we believe it or not, to some of the folks who are around us. For instance, me and my son, maybe me and my younger brother, me and my nephews, or even younger cousins, or even folks I might work with, or friends that I have. And whether or not you might realize it, they may look to you as guidance on some things. Now, why I brought up the resentment part is because, true, like, if some of us may have children, some of us may have like younger siblings. Even if it's not a younger sibling, there's someone that might be younger than you in life, and every time you tell them something, they just can't stand it. They can't hear. I can't hear it anymore.
I have 3 younger siblings. I get it.
And so you don't want it to be as a thing like that, where you are in a position where you are resenting the person you're hearing that guidance from. And so, don't be afraid to sit down and talk to them, because it's that guidance is both ways. And then also, just sharing how you would like that relationship to improve, but also look at opportunities for other mentors who are in the area of growth that you want to grow in, whether it's IT, martial arts, production, or finance, or being an entrepreneur. There's a lot of opportunity out there, and don't be afraid to hear criticism. Don't be afraid to be wrong. One of the greatest things I heard from someone who I admire a lot, she's a CEO, and she's gone on to do a number of great things. She sits on the board of the Pulitzer Prize, and one of the things she said to me and to others is, you can't be afraid to fail. If you're afraid to fail, you won't be able to succeed. So you have to accept that if you want success, if you want to be better, if you want to be able to grow, you got to be okay with failing. You got to be okay with learning what's wrong with you. And so allowing that allows you to open up your heart, allows you to open up your mind to hearing some criticism. It's going to help you to grow. Trust me, I hear it every day. I learn every day. Hey, something that I could have done better, but I don't let it weigh me down. I take that note, try to keep it in my mind. I know that my memory as I get older is not the greatest, so I try to write it in the calendar or write it in a sticky note, keep it close by. Here's a better way I can respond to something. Here's a better way I can organize things, and use those tools to help you to grow, and look at the folks in your life who are helping you do that.
And I love, absolutely, and like, we didn't even talk about this before the show, right?
Yeah.
Have I ever told you the background of our logo?
No, tell me. I'd love to hear.
Our logo, for those that don't know, is the phoenix.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So the phoenix gets stronger when it what?
Yes, when it gets on fire.
It dies, it fails, it falls, and it comes back stronger. Now, if the phoenix is always upset that it's going to fail or it's going to die, it's never going to grow.
Right.
So being okay with failing, being okay with falling and taking it to the next level, to succeed, you must learn from your failures. You must put yourself outside your comfort zone to where you're not going to be as good as those around you.
Right.
Which equates to failing if you think about it, but it also turns into growth. So the phoenix is all about failing and then becoming better. As long as you're not failing on purpose,
right?
You're failing because you're putting yourself in uncomfortable situations,
right,
where you can grow.
I thought it'd be valuable to pull it up as you were talking about it, and as you were referencing the logo. And this is the logo to as we call him at the doja, not the dojo, the doja. Master Justin and Prestige Martial Arts, the Phoenix is the logo he chose, and of course it makes perfect sense, of course, to me why you would choose that, especially as you describe it. Now,
I wasn't supposed to be here today.
That's it.
My own martial arts school, like over 10 years ago, I wasn't supposed to still be here.
That's right.
I was one of the youngest ones doing it.
And they always tell you, if you see a business last past 5 years, There you go. And huge kudos to you. So already we're introducing you to the entrepreneur mentor that you can look out to or look for, that can share more with you. And that is Justin Ladson here. And I'd be happy to hop in there as well. But you can always reach us at info@talkconnected.com. Please send your suggestions, any comments, any questions you might have to us here at Opportunities Connected. We'd be happy to hear from you as it relates to those subjects or opportunities to build.
Yeah, who knows? We may even bring you on board. Come
That's
chat
right.
with us.
Love to have you as a guest on the program. So hopping back to the Phoenix, and then also as we're talking about the top five, one of the things that I notice is like when you choose something, when you choose a path or you choose something to represent you on their path, you also feel like kind of like, I don't want to say obligation, but more of like a desire to live up to it. Did that become kind of your thing as you were driving to make sure Prestige Martial Arts was in a good place? Was that Phoenix? I mean, did you look at that and say, I chose this Phoenix? I chose to, because no matter how hard it might get, we're still going to push through.
See, that's one thing about branding. A lot of people look for names that sound great. A lot of people look for their own name, there's no problem with that at all. But true branding is, what do you represent? And yes, I am 100% obligated to live up to the Phoenix for my students. Just like being a parent, I must set that example for my kids. As a teacher, I must set that example for my students. So if I mess up and I make a big deal out of it and I go home and I criticize my family because of the mistake I made earlier in the day, or because I had a tough day, I'm not living up to my brand.
Right.
So my brand doesn't stop at the business. When I go home, I need to make sure I'm leading by example. I'm showing respect. If I had a long day, I don't carry it home. I learn from it and then I move on. I can't sit on that error or a tough day.
Right. So,
and
that jumps back on the subject we brought up in episode 2. Don't let your past or things from your past hold you back. Don't let it become a barrier or a wall. And you got to help those around you. As we're talking about your top 5, are you their top 5? You don't want to be just a receiver. That's a two-way conversation, two-way relationship. You know, I don't want to be dead weight in my friends' relationships. And a part of growing is starting to learn, starting to trust yourself. And trust me, if you recognize that you can grow, if you start believing in yourself, you are never dead weight in your friend's life. Now,
and one thing I want to add, if you're okay with that,
is
one quote that I heard that I absolutely love is, whatever shines grows, right?
Yeah.
So with that being said, a lot of people are like, I don't want to portray this because I get stressed out. I want to be able to overcome being stressed. But if you're putting yourself in a positive mindset more often, then you're shining on your ability to be happy.
That's it.
So your ability to be stressed less, or you know what I mean? Your stress will decrease, and you will find yourself like anxiety, depression, things like this start to decrease because now you're focused with intention on being positive.
There's a reason why those things that you do to make yourself healthier increases positive endorphins in you. Because your body speaking to you saying, hey, yes, this is what we want. We want more of this. And people can feel that. In fact, it triggers those endorphins in them. They can tell you, whenever I'm around you, I just feel this glow. And they'll desire to be more like that themselves. It triggers, as everyone, the word trigger is being used quite a bit lately. But instead of triggering something negative, why not trigger something positive?
Positive, 100%. I used to get the question all the time, are you always this happy? And then we've asked my wife, hey, is Master Justin always this happy? And the answer is yes. And like, even I've seen a change in my wife, like over the 7 years we've been together. Our kids, like, we have really, really good kids. And I know parents say that, then all of a sudden they bring their kids, they're jumping off the wall. We actually really have good kids. because they're not seeing the majority of us being stressed out when
Right.
we spill. I'm the clumsiest person you'll ever meet. If you put a glass of milk down, I will bump into it by accident.
Yeah, I can.
But like, it's
Yeah.
okay. It's easy
Yeah.
to clean up. And my kids get to see that. My students get to know, hey guys, you're going to learn the hardest kick in the world. You will fall. But guess what? I make more mistakes than you. So
Yeah.
we're good to learn together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
contagious. Be that for the people that are around you.
Around you, and they will grow as well. Oh man, I'm really appreciating it. Now we're walking into this time of the year where it's starting to get warmer, and we're going to be a little bit more social than we were in the winter time. And I know I might be dating the show by saying that, but all that to say is, as you start going back into that space where you're going to be around your friends a little more often, start looking at the type of environment you want to be in. I know that we're all excited to be social, so on and so forth. But, as we're walking out there, we want to be the best version of ourselves, not in a pretentious fashion. That's not, no one's saying it, not even in a self-righteous fashion. Of course, no one is saying that. We're saying you love yourself. You can't love the folks around you or like the folks around you without loving and liking yourself first. And so what is the attention that you're going to give yourself to make sure you can grow? Now, looking at healthy ways to improve your body. Of course, we're coming out, the top of the year, everyone's pushing fitness, everyone's New Year's resolution is that. Revolution is another good word as well.
Yes.
But of course, it's that grind, and sometimes that grind slows down, and then it's fun to go hang out and throw caution to the wind. But what's your recovery? How's your body going to turn that back around? And like we were just saying, like what you put in is the stuff that comes out. And so you don't want to lose, that momentum that you have. So as you're going out, it doesn't always have to be a bar. You can go meet your friends at an event. The same amount of money you might throw, and kudos to the bartenders. I know y'all out there working and doing your thing late at night, dealing with a lot of characters. But I guarantee you, a lot of those bartenders are looking forward to going to an event and staying away from that bar. Meet your friends at a concert. Meet your friends at a comedy show. Go do something active. What was the track?
Even if you go dancing, that's a lot of work. 3 hours of just dancing, hiking. There's a phrase that I want to end our show with, but you have to watch. You're going to want to be on the next episode for this.
Yes.
The phrase is be your future self now. It's a book, by the way. Go read it, but I'm going to dive into my opinions on what I got out of it, and I absolutely love it. So for those who haven't read that book, look it up.
Yeah. Be your future self now. Yeah. And again, reach out to us here on our channel or our email right down there. You can see info@talkconnected.com. Yemi, Griot, and Justin Ladson are here with you. We're staying connected with you, building with you all the time. We can't thank you enough for joining us on today's episode 3. Who are your top 5? Make sure, and then reach out to us. Also talk to us about some things you love to hear us talk about. We'd be very excited to bring that up. And like Justin said, we might even have you on the show. It would be great to build directly with you. Thanks everyone for joining us today for this episode of Opportunities Connected. I'm Yemi Griot.
Justin Ladson.
And thanks for joining us again. Talk to you soon, everybody.